Okay, it's that time. We're going to go ahead and get started with the ones that are here, and we thank you for joining us. Um, we are much of what we're going to be doing tonight is going to be we're going to sound like it's the last night, but it's not the last night. But at this point, we have no choice but to treat it like it's the last night because of deadlines and things that we have to meet, because grades have to be ready by a certain time, and your work coming in after that, we can't allow that to happen for you, because once grades go in, there's nothing that we can do at that point, and that causes a problem for you in being able to move on to the next level. So that's why I have pushed, Dr. Stone's pushed, Dr. Lamb, Dr. Revis. That's why all of us have pushed, because we know what the expectations are, and we know, what has to be done by a certain point. So that's why we've pushed you. You can see week 14, and you can see what's in green. The only difference, change that should have been made to that, and I didn't catch it, is everybody should be at the point of submitting the APTEL for final evaluation at this point. And many of you have done that, but it says that you will be directed by your clinical coach too. That is not the case. It will either be Dr. Stone, or it will be or I will be the ones that will be directing you from these groups when it's ready to go to turn it in, and when it's ready to go to task stream. That does not mean that Dr. Revis and others will not be working with you as needed. They will be, but we will be pushing the button on when it's ready. So that should have been changed, and I just didn't catch it before it went out at the beginning of the semester. We're going to be in a lot of different places tonight, but that's going to be necessary. So it's very important that you pay close attention, because everything that we say tonight is going to be focused on bringing closure to the work that you've been doing for this semester. We do have a major topic of discussion that Dr. Stone is going to be presenting, and then I've asked Dr. Lamb if he would to go back and to revisit our requirements for task stream, and then Dr. Lamb is going to briefly just begin, just kind of segue into 603, and that will be talked about more next week when we have the town hall, but he's going to share some things with you tonight as well. So at this time, I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Stone.
Thank you very much. And so what I want to talk about tonight is the last of our topics. First of all, I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. I know tomorrow is Thursday is Thanksgiving. I hope you have a great, restful one. For those in my class who aren't quite there yet with all their task stream assignments, maybe not as restful as some of the others who completed it, but please kind of make sure we get those done as well. But I want to finish up tonight talking about cultural leadership. And the reason why it's important is because when you are a principal or assistant principal, you of course will be evaluated based on standards. And in North Carolina, we have 7. In South Carolina, I believe you have 9. And all of those, one of them that always comes through, no matter which standard, which state we're in, has to do with the cultural leadership. And if within your school, how you set the tone and the climate of your school is very important, and that's all a part of the cultural leadership. Because when you become that effective leader, you are certainly going to be called upon to promote equity and to promote the well-being of students' academic success and well-being. Also, as you develop these evidences in this class as well as future classes, we'll be asking you often to go back and reflect on your cultural leadership. So cultural leadership, there are several components to it, and these are the standards that are the PEASL standards. These are the new evaluation standards for principals and assistant principals that are in the discussion phase right now. North Carolina will hopefully soon be adopting these and replacing the current 7 standards that we have. South Carolina will probably replace them as well. But one of the major ones of that is cultural leadership. And the new principal standards, or the PEASL standards, there are 2 big changes to them that are really, really big changes from North Carolina's instrument of evaluating principals and assistant principals. And that is that with the new standards, there's a lot more emphasis on the individual child and how we can move children where they are. There's a lot more emphasis on inclusion. There's a lot more in cultural diversity. So the new standards really are about not necessarily how you manage as a principal or administrator, but more about how you create that culture and climate and support equity and all the right things for every single child. So it's very inclusive. So cultural leadership basically is making sure that your students, and as a principal, it's your responsibility to make sure that all of your students are treated fairly, respectfully, and it is also your responsibility as an administrator. And as you begin to write your plans for 603 and 605 in males, you'll be asked to reflect on some of these, but it's more and more your responsibility to make sure that you have an understanding of where kids are coming from and a context. So the old days of black and white, zero tolerance, those have gone. And a good thing that they are, because now we have to look at not only the culture, but the context in which kids are coming to us and in which kids are their behaviors. We have to recognize, respect diversity, and we have to bring out our student strengths and to recognize those as an asset for teaching and learning. So it's about finding children where they are and bringing them to where they need to be. Every child, the child across the tracks, the child that is homeless, every single child that comes through our doors is making sure that we respect and find their strengths and build upon those. It's also making sure that our students have equitable access to not only the best of equipment, but also the most effective teachers. We can't put all of our new teachers or our most inexperienced teachers with that class. And you probably have remembered in your experience as a teacher, when you've gotten that class assignment as a brand new teacher, sometimes we tend, and this is something I hope you don't do as a principal, and I mean this, and I'm pointing right to you, please don't, when you get your own principalship or assistant principalship and start making schedules, please don't dump on your new teachers. That's why they leave the profession. That's why they are unhappy. We need to give our newest teachers some of our best classes, and we need to develop a support system around them. So that old thing of giving the new person on the block what's left, that can't do that. That's not supported. And we also need to make sure it's not fair to the new teacher, but nor is it fair for our students. So as the administrator, you're going to have to make sure that you are looking for equity opportunities. You're also developing policies, and you will have an opportunity to do this. When you become that principal administrator, you'll have a chance to begin to develop some of your own school-wide policies, making sure they're fair, asking from a perspective of, are there any unknown biases built into this policy? Are there some people that are going to be just basically because of their culture, or are they going to be hurt by this? So it's beginning a better understanding of the biases that we bring with us. It is also looking at institutional biases. And one of the biggest ones for that, of course, I don't need to tell you, is that our students of poverty, oftentimes, we hear in a teacher's meeting, they can't do it. They just don't have it. They can't do it. That's an excuse that's no longer acceptable. We have to make sure that our expectations are high, and we look for those institutional biases. We look for those opportunities in our building where we can raise the expectation for everyone and get off that crutch of these people were born poor, therefore they can't do. They don't have any parent support at home, they're poor. You got to get rid of that therefore. It's all about making sure that all of our students are included. And you'll notice with the new administrative standards, it's going places that the old standards didn't go. We're going beyond class and culture and economic diversity. We're going to gender, sexual orientation, disability, or any other special status. So the new standards for administrators, that at some point you'll be sitting across from the superintendent when he's evaluating you, he or she, and they'll be asking you how you do this. So you've got to broaden your understanding of who our students are and their conditions in life and what brings them to our schools. You've got to get all students prepared to live productively in a diverse society and certainly moving toward the global economy. You've got to make sure that we are aware of cultural competencies, we're responsive to all of our interactions, and also as an administrator, teachers are going to take their cue from you. If they see you being culturally insensitive, if they hear that joke you tell, or if they see the way you treat someone and it's not inclusive, it's not culturally responsive, they're going to take their cues from you. So when you get that principalship or assistant principalship, remember, you're the captain of the ship, you're the model, you're who they're looking for and who they take their cues from. So it absolutely has to start at the top. It also, to make sure that you address in all aspects of leadership, whether it's in your school improvement team, your IEP meetings, or any kind of group of leadership, you got to make sure that that's first and foremost, that every single one of them accepts that equity and cultural responsiveness. That is cultural leadership. And I want to just close up about the point of the slide is that in my years of school administration, we are moving more and more toward understanding the whole child and trying to find that child where they are. And that's going to strengthen our schools. Diversity is a great thing for our schools. Diversity, and so if you ever are offered an administrative position and in a school that is high, free, reduced lunch rate, jump at it, because that gives you the opportunity to really make a lasting impact and bring these principles of every child every day with you. Be culturally responsive and model it, because truly you can say what you want, but if the teachers see you doing something differently, they are certainly going to model that, and they're going to see what you do. Do you have any questions for me, anyone? An important trait, cultural inclusiveness.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Stone. Dr. Lamb, you have any follow-up comments on that?
We cover this quite extensively in 603 because it's a law and policy course, and we cover, now remember, this kind of leads into what Dr. Stedman was talking about. I want to give you a little overview. 603 changes pace. You've been working on instruction and staff development this semester. When we get through with this semester, we're going to shift gears into management, law, policy, equity. We're going to be coming and going to and fro, and our weekly activities are just that. They're activity. They're setting an IEP meeting. Who's in charge? You know, how does the meeting work, and what you understand is the collaborative process. Intervention teams. We focus a lot on exceptionalities on different groups in order to bring them in and be inclusive. We have case studies based on sexual orientation, LGBTQ. We have case studies on the inclusion model of exceptional children. We have case studies that focus on equity and funding. Equity is not just a right idea, it's law and policy. That's where you will see equity expressed. And so that's what we'll be doing next semester. So next semester, you have a weekly activity. There's a lot of things you have to go out and gather, see, look at the budget. Does the budget support your school improvement plan? Does your master schedule, we're going to learn to build a master schedule. Does it support diversity, inclusion, making sure everybody has an equal access? What Dr. Stone just talked about. Which teachers do we have teaching which classes? We don't just give the most difficult kids to the new teachers. That's number 4 on the priority system of scheduling, is best practices. It goes federal law, state law, board policy, best practices. A best practice is not put your lowest performing students with your newest teachers. That's a best practice. That's number 4 in your scheduling. So Dr. Stone is introducing this tonight, which is the setup actually for the next course block sequence that you will go into, which is law, policy, finance, which you can't separate those 3. And with the overarching theory here is equity, serving each child individually, making sure that we focus on individual children, the whole child, and not just groups of children. So that's what we're going to be doing next semester. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot. The work is going to be different than what you're doing now. This is about making sure you hit all your marks legally and ethically. This is about how to manage a school effectively, and all the pieces and parts that go with it.
And Dr. Lamb, they'll also be reintroduced to it again in 605.
Yes. And 605 is about your personal growth. That'll be another shift for you. We're shifting away from leadership to management. We're going to shift back to personal power and leadership in 605. How do you put this in place? You've learned these things now. Now you do a lot of self-reflection, self-exploration in 605. How would I go about doing this? Who am I? What are my belief systems? How am I going to lead? Because this is a leadership program. But you've got to have the scaffolding, which is what we're going to do next semester. You have to have that legal underpinning, that management piece to stay out of jail and not lose your house. And then Dr. Stone is going to finish you up in the end. He's going to finish you up with developing your personal power, developing your personal leadership style. How do you put all this into practice? You've learned all these things now. How do you go about making sure it happens on a daily basis? Just because you know it doesn't mean it's going to get done. So he's going to work with you on that in 605 and kind of round out your experience. That is correct.
Okay. And Dr. Lamb, at the very end, I want us to come back and we'll look at this week 14, or I think I've got under week 15, but I think it's under week 14. We'll come back and look at it. You've got some documents under there that they can begin looking at, because some are free. They can actually begin looking at that and getting ready. So we'll come back to that, because I don't confuse them with what we're going to talk about with closing out with the APTEL, and we'll do that at the very end, if that's okay.
That's correct. We'll do that when we get to that point. My presentation tonight is just a task stream reminder.
Right, and we'll come to that in just a minute. I just want to remind them, and Dr. Stone may chime in on this as well, as you're bringing closure to the APTEL. First of all, there are a handful of you, and I don't know if you're online tonight or not, but there's 4 or 5 that we have not seen the APSL. And Dr. Lamb, you may want to address that, because they need to understand that when grades go in, if this work has not been done, we cannot put them in 603.
No, if you've not made satisfactory process, because this is add-on licensure and you're doing double the work, if you have not made satisfactory progress on your portfolio, what we'll do is we'll drop your class and you'll keep your internship, your clinical, and you'll have to do a semester of clinical to catch your portfolio up if you're too far behind. Now, the good thing is because there's almost a month gap between the fall ending and the spring starting, you could have that time to catch up. But don't put yourself in that bind. Remember again, if your portfolio is behind, and I assess that I don't believe that you can do the work in the spring and catch up what you've got, that first week in January or second week in January, when I come back and review everything before we come back on station on January 6th, for classes starting back on January 13th, I'm going to look specifically at task stream, and I'm just going to dial up and do a task stream audit. And if you're not there, then you're going to have to spend the semester doing clinical, which will put you one more semester behind completing the program. Now, we compact this program into 3 semesters if you can keep up, but you get 5 semesters to do it. We used to do the whole 5, but students said, well, we think we can do it in 3, okay? And we hope that you can. But if you can't, you've got up to 5 semesters to do this program. You may have to take a semester and do clinicals. Don't put us in that position. Don't put yourself in that position unless that's what you want to do.
Hence, that is why you have gotten all the emails and the constant, get this done or whatever. I know sometimes you said that's another email from Dr. Stebbin, and you probably could throw darts at me sometime, but it's for your good, and it's because we have to pace you, and we have to stay behind you to make sure that that it is done in a timely manner. This week, at this point, all the work should be completed in Blackboard. It should be completed in Blackboard. However, Dr. Stone and I are still grading work as it comes in. So, you're on the point system. You need to do a self audit. You need to go in there, look at my grades. You need to see what you have or have not done. You need to see how many points it's going to take. This is you. This is left up to you. So make sure that you're checking and that you're doing what has to be done for Blackboard. Remember, there's two responsibilities. You've got your course grade with Blackboard, which includes evidence work, but then TaskStream is entirely different from that, and we have to look at both of them. So you need to make sure that you're keeping up with all of this. And Dr. Lamb's going to talk about some TaskStream requirements in just a few minutes. But make sure that the email that I sent out just a few days ago, make sure that you are doing your audits. If you have a question about something, you need to communicate with Dr. Stone and me, and we'll be glad to look into it and to check it, because either of us could make a mistake on our end, and if we did, we'll fix it. But if it's not, you need to know so you can fix it on your end. So
and that's important comment, Dr. Chapman, because I have caught several, because I sent out your grades to my classes, and I've caught several. So between me and Blackboard, we're not perfect. So if there's something that you think you've done and we don't have a score for it, reach out to us now so we can go and see if we can find it, or if we can manipulate it to find it, or we may just simply need for you to resubmit it, because we don't want you to fall between that A and B or B and C because you thought you turned in something and we didn't. So pay attention to my grades, and if you see something that's not consistent, let us know.
Okay. And then I'll talk about the next 2 weeks after Dr. Lamb goes over some TaskStream reminders. So Dr. Lamb, if you would take us into TaskStream, and let's go in that direction now.
All right, let me start out with the question that was just asked. Do we turn in our clinical or internship hours, I guess, or log this semester in TaskStream? You do, but make sure you put it in your competency folio. Do not put your log this semester in your DRF portfolio where it says internship log and submit that. That's for final submission when you have all 3 of them ready. Each semester's log goes into your competency folio, and you can request comments from your clinical coach. But the final, when all 3 of them are complete, you upload them in your DRF portfolio. So let me show you that to start with. Let me share my screen. Go to mine. I've got it. Move that out of the way. Got to get here, sign in. All right. So there is a place in your, let me go to author of your view. There is a place in your DRF portfolio for internship log. This is not the one we use this semester. This is when we have all 3 of them ready. So please make sure you remember, do not put it here and submit it for evaluation. We'll have to send it back. It goes in your competency folio that I've created one this semester. Down here at the bottom, internship log, you upload it, and then you request comments. On your log, you click the log, continue, and it should go straight to your coach. If not, just pick your coach. If it gives you the list, pick your coach out of the list. It should just go straight to your coach. Make sure you understand. This is where your log goes this semester. This is your first semester. Do not put it in your DRF and submit it, because then I'll have to go in and get it out and send it back for revision, cancel it. It'll be a problem. So don't do that. So let's do a quick review of what is due in TaskStream this semester.
Dr. Lamb, I will say that a lot of students have already submitted their clinical internship, and I have already cleared several of them. So many of them have done it successfully already.
Excellent. I sent one back today that, what's the deadline to upload whatever, Monday, December the, what's that, 9th?
Yep.
All work is due by then.
Okay.
All work is due by then, because grades will be due on Tuesday. So I'll just type that out in case somebody didn't. December 9th. Everything's due by then. Good question. All right. So in your DRL portfolio this semester, your AppSell and your AppTel are uploaded. Make sure you submit them for evaluation. You upload, save, and return, and then submit your competency analysis. Once these two, and that's why they're in this order, excuse me. Once these two are done, you can do your competency analysis where you check off, yes, I did all 21 of those this semester. I did 13 in task 5 of the AppSell. I did 9 in task 4 of the AppTel. Make sure that you can just go in and check them off then. And then, as we told you, you could do the School of Ed dispositions at any time. That's your dispositional behavior. The only caveat on that one is if you believe you exceed expectations in any area, you've got to rise the narrative and tell us why. If you just put meets, then you're good to go. You don't have to tell us why. So these are the things that are due this semester: your final evidence narrative of your AppSell and AppTel, your competency analysis once you have completed these two, and then your School of Ed dispositions. I'll open those up for you. And so they're going to ask you about learner development. This is under your dispositional behaviors. Again, you can click meets or needs improvement. That'll be fine. If you click exceeds, you got to tell us why you exceed. And then these are the areas that you have to assess yourself on. You notice these go along with our course content this semester. Learning differences, learning development, learning environment, content knowledge, application of content, assessment, planning for instruction, instructional strategies, professional learning and ethical practice, leadership and collaboration. These are the themes, the dispositional themes that you should have gotten this semester, that you should have improved in these areas. These are the things that we want, that you should have gotten this semester. And it tells each one of these things, and it explains it to you. Did you get that? Do you meet the expectations after this semester? Do you meet these expectations? If you think you exceed them, tell us why. This is the dispositional. This is personal development. What did you take away? Not just some skills about it, but what personal development did you take away from this semester? And that's what that's about. Competency analysis is real simple. It just asks you did you meet all 21 of these? You have to verify that you did. And then at the end, it has a couple of more. It asks you knowledge of curriculum and knowledge of assessment. Did you get that as well this semester? And you should have evidence of that in task 5 of the AppSell and task 4 of the AppTel. And if you pass those, you will have evidence that you did meet the standard for knowledge of curriculum and knowledge of assessment. So that's the other thing besides your 2 evidences that are due. Also, now that we paced you to try to get through around this time of year, it gives you 2 solid weeks that you can work on your competency folio. So let's go back and look at it. Please remember, I had a student call me this week that hadn't created their competency folio. There is a tab in your 601 shell on how to set up your competency folio. Again, go to folios and web pages, create new. Name it, create new, custom template, select 21st century leaders, competencies, continue, pick your template. I'm going to do a butterfly. There it is, apply, and it's done. Preview, and there it is. Just that simple. And then I can go in and start uploading my artifact. Your artifacts are things that were generated from the work that you did this semester. Let's look quickly at what one should look like. This is what it should look like in the end. So this semester, you've got to do 3 rounds. You've got to do 1 round of all of these, all the way from communication through visionary. Now, digital learning competencies, that's just to remind you what they are. They are embedded in these individual ones. And so for this semester, you had to produce 1 of 3, either from the AppSell or open-ended. Obviously, you can't do one from the SOP because we haven't gotten there yet. So you have to choose, do I do an AppSell one or an open-ended one? And you tell us briefly what it is, and then you upload it, the actual thing, the actual artifact. Artifacts are not narratives. Artifacts are things that are produced as a result of the work that you've done. Now, we've given you a list of those. You'll find those again in your class shell. When you go to that, it says Competency Folio Resources. These 2 right here, you download these 2 documents and it'll tell you, oh, that's an artifact and it fits this competence. An agenda, minutes, pictures, videos, flyers, announcements, emails. Shoot them with your camera on your phone, screenshot them. Things that you have done that will have been produced from the work that you did. The competency folio is not the place to argue competency. You did that in competency analysis in task 5 of the AppSell and task 4 of the AppTell. This is the proof now, the artifact, the thing that was produced by the work that you did. That's what we want in this competency folio. And to go back and look at an arrows, tell us quickly what it is. We prefer you to do it in this format. This one's from the AppSell, the semester. Highlighted if it's a digital learning competency. If you do it and then attach artifacts. If you do it this way, as I've told you before, you can take this document, publish and share it, send it with your transcript, and you can get your digital teaching and learning CEUs for your teacher license and won't have to pay to take additional coursework. If you do it this way and highlight which ones it is, this will work. And so you do communicate, you do 1 of each of these. And so for hers in the fall, she did, it could be the AppSell. She did an AppSell one here. AppSell or AppTell, she did an AppSell and she did an AppTell. She did 1 of each. And then she did her open-ended. So make sure you understand, it tells you exactly which artifact we're looking for in your competency folio. Now, when you get it in there, as I showed you before, you are allowed at that point to go in and when you put one in, you can come over here and request comments from your coach. Now, if you're putting 21 in, don't send them 21 emails. Put them all in and then come over here and request comments, and you can select them all, or you can select them 1 at a time. But I prefer that you select how many you put in at one time. You select them and just send 1 email, because when you hit the request comment button, your coach is going to get an email. And if you do it 21 times, they'll get 21 emails. So remember, you put them in, whatever, if you're going to put in 5 today, then request comments on those 5. And they can read those 5. But make sure you request comments on them to make sure that you're doing it the right way. I don't want you to come up at the end and you dump them all in there, and then your coach says, that's not really what we want. All you're doing is just arguing competency. You're not showing us competency. Competency is one of those things you have to show us. You just can't tell us. You have to show us. So that's what's due in TaskStream this semester. Any questions you have on TaskStream?
Dr. Lamb, I just want them to know that even though at this point, Dr. Hamilton or Dr. Shepard may be your CC2, but you may, Dr. Lamb or I, either one can go in there and we can assess those if we see that they need to be assessed. So you're okay if you see our names beside those.
Yeah, you can check it.
Okay, so I just wanted you to know sometimes you'll see my name and you'll wonder why. I can do that, so just know that.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lamb. And as a reminder, this is probably the 4th or 5th time that you've gotten this same information. So I hope it sticks this time. We wanted to make sure, and that's why we have gone over it one more time this semester. So it's in your previous. Well, so I know at least 4 times, Dr. Lamb, we've done it this semester.
Yeah, but that's okay.
That's okay.
As long as we get it right.
I just want them to make sure that you know they know that that this is not our first time doing this. Just let's look at weeks 15 and 16 next week. Please make note of this. Next week, week 15, we will not be coming online on Tuesday night like we are now. However, there will be a town hall for all 601 students on Monday night, and Dr. Lamb will be sending out the link for for that town hall session. It will be at 7 o'clock next Monday night, not Tuesday night. Now, if you need Dr. Stone or me on a private basis, then you need to communicate with us. And even though we're not coming online, we will work with you if there's something that you individually need for us to work with you with. Dr. Revis is also available with students that have been assigned to her. And those of you that have been working with Dr. Shepard and or with Dr. Hamilton, they will also be available next week as you need to communicate with them. Do not hesitate if you're at a place that you need us, and we'll consistently look at, we'll look at work several times a day to see what's in there, and you can continue to communicate with us. We're just not going to be coming online on Tuesday night. Again, it will be Monday night at 7 o'clock, and Dr. Lamb will be sending that link out to join. And he said already that all work must be cleared by December the 9th, because we have to have grades officially, and that's pushing it even at December the 9th. Try not to be one of those December the 9th people. Many of you have already cleared, so just work hard to try to make that before December the 9th. And Dr. Lamb, if you would pull up those 603 documents that we want them to look at. Have you got them available now? Or, okay, they were at the bottom of today's, under week 14. Okay, there they are.
Right here.
Yes, sir.
All right. You can go ahead and look at our case studies. I've got, as I told, kind of gave you a preview. The first one is on grading policy, the law. The second one is about diversity, LGBTQ. Then we got equity and funding, and then we got inclusion in models, again, an equity one for inclusion model of exceptional children. So those are the 4 case studies that we have. As you can see, they're very different. These require you to do legal research, to think, to ponder, to work together in your groups. You'll meet as groups to work through these case studies. You'll read them individually. If we look at the discussion board activities, as I told you earlier, let me move that out of the way.
Dr. Lamb, do they not, in your 603 classes, do they not come online and report out as groups?
Absolutely.
It's different than what it was with what we did this semester.
Yeah, you've got to present your group project. I'll show you one of those in just a minute. Here is kind of a grouping of the 6 areas. Now we have these. This isn't 6 weeks. This is over the course of the 16-week semester. But here's all the things that we're talking about. Locate your crisis plan. Locate a copy of your school budget. Conduct a facilities walkthrough using an assessment inventory instrument that I give you. Interview an administrator about human resources. Interview the chair of your school's intervention team. Sit in an IEP meeting. Look at your poly. Interview assistant principal or sit in on a disciplinary due process. It's a lot of going and doing things. And so you'll need to look at that. Much different than what you're doing now. This is the clinical piece. This is the practical, the management side of running a school building. Our OMA is about building a master schedule. The SKIP is about involving parents in communication with them, and then having curriculum nights or long-term goals like that. It's the actual how to run a school, what we'll be doing next semester. And here are the activities that we'll be doing.
And they need to know too, with your 2 evidences in 603, you do not get templates and you do not get examples. You have to learn how to do those based on the work that you have done with the APSO and the APTEL.
That's exactly right. You have to be able to do those. You can create your own templates just like we did. And so that's what we're going to be doing in terms of your discussion board. What I want to show you quickly is you will collaborate on these and you will come online. So when we have a class on night, about the 4th week of the semester, 5th week, 6th week, there it is. On about the 6th week of the semester, the whole night is you. It's your night. You come on and you present your case studies, and then you have to write a reflection of that. But your group has to come on, and I'll just tell you right now, I'm pretty heartless on those presentations. I'll just tell you now before we start. There's no debating the law. It's not about your opinion. You're going to have to learn that. You're going to get your feelings hurt a time or two. If you don't do your research, if you don't do your legal research, you're going to get your feelings hurt. I'll just tell you that right now. We talked about it, and this was our opinion. I don't care what your opinion is. What's the law? And so that's what I mean. It's not. It is not going to go well for you. If you think it's about we got together and talked and this is what we thought. Did you do any legal research? Well, no. Well, then, no. Sorry, that's not good enough. And so here's case 4, inclusion versus mainstreaming. Let me see. I better download it this way.
Dr. Lamb, while you're pulling that up, several have asked, were you going to allow them to stay with their same teams next semester? I've gotten questions about that.
Absolutely. That's why we formed them this semester, so y'all would already be rolling. I don't have time for y'all to learn how to do that again. kind of like speed dating. Y'all have got a group. Y'all are all in it together now. We just keep right on rolling. And so you have to highlight the case, all the laws, the policies that go along with it, cite cases, give us the pros and cons. Then you have to answer the questions. And you have to reference these things. Then you have to do your 4 ethical paradigms as well. Once you've done the legal, you have to do the ethical. There's 4 ethical paradigms: justice, critique, care, and profession. You have to examine the case against the ethical standards as well. You're gonna have to saddle up and ride, folks. I'm telling you. This is going to be a departure, especially for those of you who are still in the classroom, from thinking as a teacher to thinking as an administrator, changing your lens, seeing these cases from a different perspective, and understanding that now it's not about your opinion, it's about law and policy, and trying not to lose your house. You do know that there's tort liability now, that when you get sued not only as a district, but as an individual as well. So you need to know that, I'm not trying to scare, I'm just trying to tell you how the world works. And so this is what you will do 4 times during the semester. You'll keep the same groups. Now, you say, but that'd be a lot of work. But now we're going to cut way back on peer review. You're only going to do written peer reviews, and you're only going to do 3 for the OMA and 3 for the SCIP. You're only going to do 3 total for each of those. You're not going to spend all this time doing peer reviews and talking about them. You're going to spend your time on the law, because this is a law and policy course. And so you'll be spending time with your group, but not doing peer reviews. You'll just do your peer reviews written and turn them in. Your group time will be spent on cases. Now, some students, this is really hard for them. Others love it. I will, if you'll listen, I will set these things up where you'll know where to go to look and what to look for. And you'll see, and what I always get is, well, I didn't have enough information. That's the wrong answer. You have more than enough information if you know how to put it together. The reason you don't have information is you don't know how to interpret what you've been given. So there's all the information that you're going to need in these cases that will lead you. You can use Bulldog One under the library tab in Blackboard to do your legal research. You can use Google. You can use the Google if you need to. And so these cases are not about what you think. They're about what the law says. And they also speak to best practices administratively as well. Did the principal do the right thing? What did they do versus what they should have done? And so we look at it from an administrative perspective as well. How effective was the administrator? Did they follow the law, but how effective were they? Did they get out in front of this problem, or did they let it become a problem before they acknowledged it? And so it's a change, but when you come through this, I think, not just because I teach this, but the one thing that I get, I was reviewing some final reflections that came in from the group that's completing this semester, and the common theme about what they learned the most about was law and policy. And that's not because I'm a great teacher. That's because that's the part that folks in the classroom haven't been exposed to before. And so I understand there's a steep learning curve, and I'll walk you through it. But it is different than what you've done before. What we've done this semester is part and parcel of what you do every day. And it's been familiar to you. What we'll do next semester, none of it will be familiar to you. And the learning curve is kind of steep, but we'll lead you through it. That's why we have you go out and talk with people, because they'll provide as much information or more than I do. When you go out and interview and talk to these people who do these things on your campus, that's a great learning tool for you. It helps to get you up to speed faster than just listening to me rant every week. And so that's why we had you go out and do that, to accelerate that learning process. But yes, the intentional abandonment starts next semester. We start having you do, we pull back some and have you step forward and do more. And so that's another reason why we can't let you go into next semester being behind on your portfolio. You're going to be busy, not because of the volume of work, but because of the kind of work that you're going to be doing that you've never seen before. And it'll be new, but it's new to most everybody. And we understand that, but it's going to be pretty time consuming. I mean, again, it's a learning curve.
And Dr. Lamb, 603 classes meet on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock.
Wednesday night. And contrary to popular opinion, I am not a heathen. I go to church at noon on Wednesdays. So my classes meet on Wednesday nights. Because nobody else meets, and that allows me, when the other classes are meeting, to go in and watch them on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. I can join other classes because nobody teaches on Wednesday night but me. And so I do that for a reason.
And Dr. Lamb, before you end up, if you would talk about Dr. Boyle said to remind about the SOI, student SOIs.
Well, they're coming now. It's a long story that I am not going to tell publicly. But Dr. Stone's grinning because I told him earlier, they're coming.
Okay.
They had a little snafu on the first administration,
okay,
but they're coming. I know they were already supposed to be out, but there was a problem with the first administration. And so they're going to try to do a second administration, I think, tomorrow.
Okay.
So be looking for those SOIs. They'll be coming from the university, not from me or Dr. Stedman or Dr. Stone or Dr. Revis. They'll be coming from the university, and they'll be in the format of a Qualtrics survey.
And they may not know what an SOI is because it's their first time.
Student opinion of instruction. It'll be asking you some questions about your instruction. And it'll also give you the opportunity to make statements at the end, qualitative statements about whatever you got on your chest that you want to get off. But it will ask you about preparation, planning. Was the course clear? Did they show up every week? Did they cancel classes? Were they there? Turnaround time on work. It'll ask you all those kinds of things. And it'll give you the opportunity to say anything you'd like to say as well, good or bad. And so it's student opinion of instruction. It comes out from the Department of Institutional Effectiveness at Gardner-Webb. Again, they attempted an administration earlier this week. There's been a problem with it, and so they're going to attempt another one shortly thereafter. They're going to sometime before the holiday. They're going to try to get another one out to you. So be checking your email for that one. Student opinion of instruction. Now, in your last semester, you'll get that one every semester. But in your last semester, you'll also get a senior exit survey from them, and you'll get a final reflection from me. I also use Qualtrics. But this semester, you'll simply get. So some students have already asked, will I get a final? No, you won't get a final reflection. You won't get a senior exit survey. This semester, you will get a student opinion of an instructor only. You'll get that this semester. Now, supposedly, you're going to get one for your instructor and your coach. If you only get one, you can include any comments of your coach on there. Now, I've set it up, or I had them set it up where you got both. Now, whether they'll follow through with that now that the first administration was unsuccessful, I don't know. I don't know what their plan is going forward in terms of what their plan B was. And I would apologize, but that would be presumptuous on my part that I had anything to do with it or that I'm that high up in the organization. They'll get it when they can. I talked to them today.
Thank you, Dr. Lamb. And Dr. Stone, thank you for your comments and your presentation tonight as well. As we bring closure to it, I'm going to ask Dr. Revis if she would to bring the benediction.
Okay, well, we are almost at the benediction, for real, aren't we? And I hope that most of you are able to breathe a sigh of relief as you are finishing up your final touches on your APSL, or perhaps you've already completed that and are working on your competency analysis and portfolio. For those of you whom I am coaching, I can't tell what artifacts that you are missing. You have to reach out to me so that I can support you. And I'll try to do that. Of course, you've got to do the work your own self, but I will be glad to look at your work, give you feedback as quickly as possible, so you can finish strong. And I hope you are able to take a breather for this Thanksgiving holiday and enjoy some time with your family and friends. And let's everybody finish up strongly.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Revis. Anything else,
you.
Dr. Stone?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay,
Happy
Dr. Lamb, anything else?
Ho, ho, ho.
Okay, ho, ho, ho. And that is my red water. And you really do look like Santa Claus. That beard is really out there now.
Yeah, I know.
Tina's
It's been a
already,
tough season for beards that hadn't turned cold yet.
yeah, Tina's already telling you to cut it off, isn't
Oh
she?
yeah. I'm sleeping on the couch. Trust me.
Okay, happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and we'll talk.
Hey, keep the work coming.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night.